Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome to another edition of Football Theory. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, pleased to be joined by my good friend and esteemed colleague Jeff Howe. This edition of Football Theory, of course, we're talking about Texas A&M. We'll get into the rivalry a little bit. Look at the matchup between the Texas offense and that Aggie defense. The Aggie defense is elite in several areas. We'll talk about one of those areas being third down, best third down defense in the country, and also talk about where the Texas offense may have an advantage against that Aggie defense, or at least one of the critical matchups between two players who will be facing off a lot in that Texas A&M game. Before we do that, let's thank our first sponsor of Football Theory, our friends over at SeatGeek. That's right, folks. We appreciate our friends over at SeatGeek sponsoring Football Theory. And if you have, any aspirations to get to a great football game, whether it be college football game, NFL game, whatever it may be, our friends over at SeatGeek, they offer you the best way to do it. SeatGeek is a fantastic app, and they do a great job of getting you not only the best value, but finding the best deals for you. Each ticket is rated on a scale from 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So you look for the green dots, make it easy on you. Green means good, red means bad, plus every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. The number one rated ticketing app, folks, with more than 35 million downloads. Of course, they got a great deal for OTF fans. Use the code, you see it right there on your screen, OTF10. That's OTF10, and you'll get 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. Use the promo code OTF10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app, and you have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. All right, Jeff. Let's dive into things here. There was a critical matchup that you wanted to look at between these two squads as it relates to that Aggie defense trying to neutralize the Texas offense.
Yeah, I like the slot matchup because I think A&M actually has become pretty proficient at the corner position. I mean, look, the thing that if I'm an A&M fan, which thankfully I'm not, but if I was an Aggie fan, the thing that would concern me is, man, have my corners really faced like elite wide receivers and like a competent passing game? And honestly, Rod, you faced two this year, I think, really. Notre Dame, and even then, the Notre Dame offense you faced then in South Bend is not the same Notre Dame offense we see now. And Arkansas would be the two offenses you face that have a passing game that can hurt you in similar ways that Texas can. And we know Notre Dame, Texas A&M really struggled. They struggled against Notre Dame. They really struggled against Arkansas. And I think the path of least resistance, I think their corners are good. I think the path of least resistance is probably going attacking the nickel. If you look at just I think that's where A&M probably is going to be most vulnerable. And I like that matchup because of the presence of DeAndre Moore. When you look at how the Texas passing game is structured, I don't know if Sark is going to go like fifth game in a row dialing up a screen for Ryan Wingo on the first snap, but we'll see. Yeah. If he does, it's probably going to be out of some formation or motion or something we haven't seen yet or that they've used very seldom, because you need, as you talk about all the time in big games, it's all about tendency breakers. So if Sark wants to maintain tendency, he's got to do something within that tendency to break it. But I digress. But other than that, like, we know Ryan Wingo's going to be the screen merchant, right? Yeah. He's going to be your yak guy. You want to get it to him in space. Basically, he's an extension of your running game at this point. And if you're going to Parker Livingston, we know they're going down the field. Like, Parker Livingston ain't catching a bunch of bubble screens. Like, it's going to be stuff down the field, either big shots or it's going to be those throws that Arch loves, right? The deep comebacks, those deep in-breaking
NFL throws.
Exactly. And Livingston's really good about putting separation between himself and the defender and making the catch. Where this Texas passing game has really come together, right, to me, is DeAndre Moore and it's Emmett Mosley, because those are the guys that are going to work the middle of the field. And I like more DeAndre Moore. We know he lines up more in the slot than any other receiver for this Texas team. He spends 80% of his time in the slot. And I think when you look at Arch's best games, Arch's most productive games, it hadn't been a coincidence. Those have been some of DeAndre Moore's best games. So I think if you're going to attack A&M where they might be most vulnerable, the nickel and then the middle of the field in the intermediate game, it's got to be Emmett Mosley and DeAndre Moore. But DeAndre Moore's really the guy I'm looking at. The play that I keep going back to, Rod, in my head, where I think it shows kind of Sark at his best. It shows Arch's maturity level, how much he's grown. You go back to the touchdown he threw on the first drive where they fake the screen to Wingo, and Arch doesn't really sell. Like, it's not like a full-on fake. He just kind of gives a little shoulder shrug and get his eyes manipulate the safety to go over to cover the screen. And then you've got DeAndre Moore on that backside, post, corner, whatever you want to call it, running that backside route. Arch throws it, and it's wide open. That, I think, is what DeAndre Moore can bring to the table. If you look at DeAndre Moore, Rod, compared to other slot receivers in the SEC, yards after catch per reception, kind of maybe average or maybe below average. But the one statistic, the one metric where he really stands out, average depth of target's almost 13 yards. So, again, if they're throwing it to DeAndre Moore, it's not going to be a bunch of screens. It's going to be intermediate and deep shots. So, I think he's the guy. If Texas wins this game, I think we'll look back at it and say, man, DeAndre Moore had a monster game.
Yeah, and that's what I do like DeAndre Moore and that matchup you're talking about, because I went and looked at it, because you're right. I mean, Des Ricks is actually more than capable out there at the corner spot. Maybe he's got a lot of penalties. He's had 5 penalties. Will Lee, I thought, has played pretty well, but he's allowed 4 touchdowns, so you can go with Will a little bit, but he's also pretty consistent and steady at the corner. Chappelle, so you're looking at that slot corner, 71% catch rate allowed. 57% of the yards he's allowed are yak yards. So he's a good guy to attack. Not saying he's a weakness or anything like that, but that matchup you're talking about, especially for these design specialty plays that Sark dials up, which are sometimes targets to motion. You talk about a guy like DeAndre Moore, the stalk, block, and go. He's a lot of time that stalk, block, and go guy, or the stalk slant. He had a big stalk slant touchdown against Georgia last season in the SEC title game. A lot of time, he's the guy that you use in those ag beater concepts I talk about, the aggression beaters, because he's the guy that's in motion for you. And even last game, when you were stacking that wide receiver screen concept, you ran a screen and go, almost a package play. You ran a screen and go on the one side of the field, and the other side of the field ran the kind of a deep over and a post route on the other side. And essentially, the screen and go was all just to occupy the eyes of the safety, when it looked like the entire time it was premeditated that he was going to go to that deep over, but he needed that safety to bite. So that safety decided, I'm taking away what you have talked about, one of Sark's go-to concepts to start every game, that quick wide receiver screen. And then they put the ag beater on top of it, which was the screen and go. That safety was fixated on that side of the field. It's going to be either a Ryan Wingo screen or the screen and go, and then never even thought about the deep over coming behind him. So I'm with, which is what DeAndre Moore. My point is, when Sark is dialing up those specialty concepts, DeAndre Moore is a big part of them because he's the slot and the motion guy. So to your point, I agree. I like that matchup because Sark's going to have to dial up a lot of specialty plays in this game. All right, you can have your kind of staples and your bread and butter as well, but they will be ready for that because this is the last game of the season. There's so much sample size. I always say in big games, of course, like you said, you got to break tendency. But in this game, it's about Texas and on third down, which is kind of what I want to get into, which is where DeAndre Moore also can play a huge role. Those specialty plays on third down, because this is the best third down defense in the country. What gives me a little bit of hope is when you played Oklahoma. Oklahoma was also one of the best third down defense in the country when you played them, and you end up converting, I believe, over 58% of your third downs. Right now, Texas is converting around 40% of their third downs, puts them right at the average mark probably in college football. But this Aggie defense is allowing 21% third down conversion rate, which is the best in the country. Now, I was listening to an old coaching clinic of Elko talking about his philosophy about third downs and even how they practice third downs and game plan. And he said, we don't practice as many third and extremes as other teams. He said he doesn't practice a lot of third and ones and third and shorts, and they don't practice a lot of third and longs. They practice them, but not a ton. Because he said those are the extremes, and offenses are geared to try to stay out of third and long. That's their whole purpose. Like, we want to stay out of third and long, get to third and manageable, be ahead of the chains. So he said, defenses, as I've always said, built in, they kind of naturally have the advantage on third and long. Mm-hmm. All the odds flip in your favor as a defender when you're on third and long, because everybody knows what you're going to do. You're going to throw the football. And he said on third and short, kind of the opposite. Offense has the advantage, especially depending on where you're on the field. Third and one, that's a 2-down territory for them. They'll go for it they'll get a half a yard at a time and still end up getting the first down. He said, so that's one of the things, like, that's tough to control as a defense. You almost got to deal with the circumstances there. He said, but what they practice a lot of is third and medium, which people don't talk a lot about. Mm-hmm. Think about it. All the analytics are geared toward third and short. You hear a lot of third and short, fourth and short stats about teams and how good they are. You hear a lot of third and longs. A lot of third and long stats analytically about how teams handle third and long, what teams are best in third and long, what defenses are good at getting teams in third and long. Nobody talks about third and medium. Nobody talks about third and medium. Nobody cares about third and medium. It's just not sexy to talk about. And that's all Mike Elko talks about is third and medium. He said that's what they practice most. He said because that's the balance. He said,
exactly.
I gotta win the third medium. He said, I'm going to win third and longs. He basically said, I'm confident I'm winning third and longs because the odds are in my favor anyway. I'm going to win that. All right, it's just hard for you to convert third and 9, third and 12. All right, and it's gonna be hard for me to defend third and 1, third and 2. That's just the reality of it. He said, but what he said, so he's not going to worry about stuff he really can't control or anything. He's gonna focus on essentially those push downs where hey, it's third and medium, it's third and 4, third and 5, third and 6. All right, some people say third and 7. That's kind of where I thought third and long. But he said that's what they practice most. He said because it's really tough for defenses to defend that third and medium because the playbook is still wide open for a lot of teams, depending on their offense. So that was interesting when he said that. He said, by the way, he prefers man coverage. You almost know what you're going to get on third and medium, which is they believe kind of what they hang their hat on stopping defensively. They're going to win third and long, but they want to win the third and mediums too, and then win the majority of third downs. But he said they play man coverage. He said it's just hard to stop a 5-yard route playing zone. Getting back to Texas, right? Texas gives up a lot of quick game underneath. Why? They play a lot of zone. He said, we ain't going to be able to stop a 5-yard route playing a lot of zone, so we prioritize man coverage on third medium. So for Sark, you know they're going to play man a lot on third and medium. All right, third and long, you said they get into a lot of different things, and they got a lot of pressure packages, and they change up with zone on third and medium, but for the most part, you get man, and they practice all of the concepts that I talk about that give everybody issues, stacks, bunches, the targets to motion and the motion to stack and the minus splits. He said that's what they actually practice a lot on because those are the man beaters on third and medium. So,
yep. I'll say this too, right? When we talk about path of least resistance, I'm not saying Texas can't attack the A&M corners, that the A&M corners is the best corner tandem they face. It's just we're talking about path of least resistance. Again, Tyreek Chappelle in the slot, about a 98.6 NFL passer rating when he's been targeted this year. That's also almost the same passer rating when targeted. And this goes back to DeAndre Moore and Emmett Mosley. Torian York, you look at the Pro Football Focus stuff, really good coverage grade, 83.9 coverage grade, but a 98.4 NFL passer rating when targeted. Again, like most defenses, Dalton Brooks, their safety, who's had a really good year, hasn't been targeted all that much. Marcus Radcliffe at safety, again, one of the better coverage safeties in the country, according to PFF, he's only been targeted 7 times. So I just feel, Rod, like teams, one, have done a really bad job of trying to take the path of least resistance against A&M because they can't. And 2, they haven't had the weapons to really attack A&M at all 3 levels of the defense the way Texas can. So again, I as good as A&M is in the defensive front, I think this is going to be a really big challenge for the A&M secondary and linebackers to hang with the Texas weapons on the perimeter in this game.
And this is also on Sark in the specialty play designs, right? Take the Georgia game. Let's take the longest play they had from scrimmage. See a 39-yard, 40-yard reception by Emmett Mosley. Now, remember the beauty of that play is essentially they end up in a 2-by-2, but they end up with the tight end. He's number 1 on the short side of the field. They actually shift the running back over to the short side, and they motion injuries. All right, they motion him to inline, and he ends up kind of very, very tight in a kind of inline formation there, and he ends up really tight with Emmett Mosley. They actually end up running a switch release. They almost run into each other. Go back and watch. They almost run into each other because Emmett Mosley's running the jerk route, and Injuries is running, I believe, a 7 route there, but he's trying to occupy that corner. And the Georgia Bulldogs, they bump it over. They bump the coverage, so the corner ends up initially over Emmett Mosley, but because they run a switch release, the corner ends up taking Injuries on the deep route. And they end up having Emmett Mosley on a linebacker, on 2 of them actually. Run the jerk route, which is a hesitation drag route by the wide receiver, and the linebackers can't run with Mosley. Great job by Arch getting that. My point is the play design got the matchup you wanted. Another one in a Georgia game. You put DeAndre Moore your guy in the backfield. You did it in the SEC title game once too. It didn't work, but you did it in the last game versus Georgia, and it got you a 19-yard gain because what? Once you motion them in the backfield, their coverage adjustment was the safety will take them. The safety's going to take them. And you got your safety who was about, 12 to 15 yards back off the line of scrimmage, matched up, taking DeAndre Moore out of the backfield, quick flare route, got it to him, boom, got a 19-yard gain. The beauty of the play design was you got the matchup advantage you wanted.
100%.
Now, you can't afford to do it 4 times a game like you did against Georgia. You need to do it like 20 times in this game. Where you have specialty play designs to get this player or a skilled player a matchup advantage with a favorable matchup against an Aggie defender, whoever it may be, usually, like you pointed out, linebacker, safety. That's what Sark's got to do. If he does it 15, 20 times, they'll win the game. If he doesn't, they will lose this game because they are not necessarily a better team than the Aggies, but you need to find situationally, you need to be better than the Aggies.
I mean, A&M's only got 6 takeaways this year. So, again, I don't think that's necessarily a knock on their personnel. They just haven't had a ton of opportunities to be able to make plays on the ball because teams are having to throw and it's incomplete passes. The pass rush is helping them out. So I do think this will be by far the most the A&M secondary has been tested since the Arkansas game. It may be the most they've been tested all year, Rod, because I think we agree for Texas to win this game, Sark has to throw out the kitchen sink. And I love his quote on Monday in the press conference. We can take press conference quotes however we want, but he said, hey, we're going to do whatever we have to do to win the game. We're going to have to use all of our tools in our toolbox to win this game. And when you talk about those ag beaters, again, I'm not saying that I love Torian York as a player. And like I said, Dalton Brooks has had a really good year. But if I'm Mike Elko, I don't want Torian York covering Emmett Mosley one-on-one. I don't want Dalton Brooks covering DeAndre Moore one-on-one. To your point, those are the matchups Sark has to hunt, and when you get them, you got to exploit them.
He did another one. Remember, it ended up being a pass interference call. It was a third down when he put Ryan Niblett in the backfield, motioned him out of the backfield into empty. All right, and they ended up having their safety covering Niblett, and you know they were hunting that matchup because it's exactly who he threw it to. And it ended up being a pass interference call. You need to do that essentially on 70% of your passing down, Sark. Do you have enough like brain power? Do you have enough of a think tank? Because you're the coaches need to contribute too, where y'all can get one of those types of matchup advantages schemed up on every passing play. Yeah, and that is asking a lot, but I think that's what it's going to take to beat this Aggie squad. They're that good. So you talk about the tools real quick before we get out of here. My favorite tools in Sark's tool bag, if you will. All right, empty the bag.
That Batman utility belt, Sark has.
Utility belt, whatever it is. And I know Elko said he practices these things, but still, like I said, they work all the time versus Power 4 teams. I throw out the Rudy Poot squads. I throw those out. I throw out the cupcake games. Only Power 4. That's all that matters at this point in the season. Targets to bunch, you're 64% completion percentage, you're 9 yards per attempt, and you got a 42% first down touchdown rate every time you target bunch, and you're 50% conversion rate on third downs. So it's money. If you're looking at targets to motion, also one of my favorite tools on his tool belt, if you will, like you said, Jeff, 76% completion percentage, 45% first down touchdown rate. And you're talking about a third down conversion rate of over 60%. I'm a multi-motion guy too. Multiple players in motion prior to the snap, or one player motioning multiple times before the snap. You're over 6 yards per play on the season total there. Just lots of targets to bunch, lots of targets to motion. And let Arch scramble, babies. Arch is scramble. The scramble drill versus Arkansas was excellent. It was back. There's a reason that you didn't have one effective scramble or scramble drill play versus Kirby Smart, because Kirby Smart know how dangerous it is. He was like, I'm taking that away. Matter of fact, he said in the pregame, he was like, yeah, we're taking that away. Yeah, he's good on the move and he's good off schedule. We ain't having that.
Well, and I don't know, maybe this is just wishful thinking on my part. We'll see. The proof will be in the pudding on Friday, but I feel like Sark Rod has kind of realized at this point. I think the Georgia game was kind of the reckoning for him. Like, look, we are what we are. We can't depend on the run game. I don't trust it. We got into panic mode. I knew we couldn't run the ball. Even though you had success running early, I think Sark, it felt like he called the Arkansas game like he has ditched any illusion that Texas is going to be able to run the ball. That's why I think in this game, if I'm Sark, I don't even mess with 12 personnel. I'm an 11 or 10. Maybe you can even run some pony package depending on who it is, but I don't really mess with 12 personnel for the reason you mentioned. I want to spread things out because if I do run the ball, if I do want a cleaner box for Arch, I want to try to make A&M defend the run with a light box, pull your resource out. Because otherwise, if you don't, I'm just going to throw it all over the place. So that's where your run game is going to come from. It's going to come from you spreading it out, opening up the box where they have to deploy more resources to defend the pass. And then I can call, man, you may even be able to call some design runs. Trey Weiser is going to be a more effective runner if it becomes a numbers game inside the box. So if I'm Sark, that's where it's got to start. I can't mess with 12 personnel anymore. I got to go 11, even 10 sometimes, maybe even some pony package, and you can utilize motion to get the matchups you want out of that.
The only reason I use it is situationally in red zone, which is where he likes it, or to take me a couple of shots down the field. If I'm like, you know what, I want to get them in base. I want to get them. I want to constrict their defense a little bit, and then I want to take my shot, try to find a man-to-man. But I'm with you for the most part. You're ineffective in 12 personnel.
12 personnel usage needs to be very, very, very minimal in this game.
I agree with you on that. All right, good stuff, Jeff, as always. Let's thank our final sponsor of today's program, our good friends over at Advanced Pain Care, from a message from two legendary Lifetime Longhorns.
Pros know the pain stops here.
Physical therapy helps me as an athlete then and now. And do I still need therapy? Yes. And Advanced Pain Care helps with that.
Injuries will stack up. They'll add up. You can't let those injuries get you down, and Advanced Pain Care has been very helpful for me.
We can help with whatever's got you down, from nerve damage to our spinal cord stimulator. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Same-day appointments available.
Advanced Pain Care. The pain stops here.
All right. Thank you very much to our friends at Advanced Pain Care. Thank you as well to our friends at SeatGeek. And thank you, Jeff. Great stuff as always. Always leave here a smarter football theorist because of your theories. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. Does a great job as always. He's the real MVP. And thanks to each and every one of you for watching and for listening. Happy Thanksgiving. All right. To everybody out there. And for Jeff and for Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns, baby.